by Robert.
Yeah.
He is also my mentor at the Mozilla program. Yeah. Thanks, Robert.
Okay, there. Good afternoon. Okay, so I'm here this afternoon to talk about mixed reality for the open web. So my name is Robert Reyes. So in Manila, I'm known as Bob Reyes because my name is too common. Okay, so I'm part of the Mozilla Reps program. So together with here in Hong Kong, my counterpart is Sammy, so who also happens to be my mentee in the program. So I've been representing Mozilla in the Philippines since 2011. But yeah, as we all know, almost all people at Mozilla are working as volunteers. So I do several stuff in Manila. So this is basically what I do. Been using Firefox since version 1. So just to give you a brief background of what Mozilla is. So we started with this browser. For those who are too young to understand and know, that's Netscape. Okay, so Netscape got open source, so they came the Mozilla project. Okay, that was in 1998. We, being a non-profit organization, has this mission. So we are committed to 4 things. 1, we are committed to an internet that includes all of the peoples of Earth. And we are also committed to an internet that promotes civil discourse, human dignity, and individual expression. Aside from that, we are also committed to an internet that elevates critical thinking, reasoned argument, shared knowledge, and verifiable facts. And lastly, we are committed to an internet that catalyzes collaboration among diverse communities, working together for the common good. So that is what Mozilla, the organization, is. In my country, most of the time, when I give talks, especially to students, and ask them, do you know what Mozilla is? Oftentimes, I get the answer that, yeah, we know Mozilla because of Firefox. We are best known for our browser. Okay? And as my colleague had said earlier, okay, Firefox now is faster than before. Yesteryears, my friends will tell me, Bob, we switched browsers to the competitor. We used to be running on Firefox, but because it is too slow, we went to the other browsers. Okay? Fast forward to 2017. In November, we launched Firefox Quantum. If you haven't tried Firefox Quantum yet, this is how fast Firefox Quantum is compared to the previous editions of Firefox. Okay? So at least it is twice faster than what Firefox used to be. Okay? ZDNet even had this article saying that Firefox Quantum versus Chrome, the odds are shifting. Okay? But aside from the web browser, Mozilla is also contributing to a lot of things. 1, we are working with the browser companies, the vendors, to bring you a standardized web. Okay? That's for HTML5. Another thing is that we also want to bring VR to the web as a platform. Okay? Mozilla leads VR technologies and standards on the web. So how does it go? If you have heard about WebVR as a technology, okay, so Mozilla is in the forefront of developing this as a web standard. So what is WebVR? WebVR brings virtual reality tools, standards, and experiences onto the open web. What does it mean? WebVR is a collection of JavaScript APIs for creating VR experiences in browsers and headsets. You may ask me, why would someone want to bring VR to the web instead of a standalone platform? We'll go to that later. So the WebVR API works in concert, side by side, WebGL, WebAudio, and the Gamepad's API. So it's currently available on Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, and Samsung Internet Browser for Gear VR. Okay. So WebVR is open, connected, and instant. Let me go back to my question. Why would we want to bring VR experience to the web? It's simply because there are not much people who can develop on VR platforms right away. correct? But we saw an opportunity. There are a lot of web developers out there. So we thought, if we can give these people, the web developers, an avenue, set of tools, technologies for them to develop VR content, then we will be able to bring more people to enjoy virtual reality. Okay. So it's currently available if a browser supports WebGL. Okay, so WebVR enables developers to translate position and movement information from the display into movement around a 3D space or scene. Okay. How can you check if your browser is working with WebVR? Simply go to webvr.rocks as a website. It will give you a list. By default, modern web browsers will support WebVR, but not all of its components. Okay? So for Firefox, for Chrome, for Edge, and for the Samsung Internet Browser for Gear VR, you will see there which of the components are currently supported. Now, will WebVR be a standard? It's an open collaboration between multiple stakeholders. Okay, one of them is it's a part of the W3 community group. So developers can use WebVR today to create VR experiences for Firefox, Edge, Samsung Internet, Oculus, and Google Chrome. So they're also in GitHub. Okay, so you go to webvr.rocks, you will see the link to the GitHub page there. As for Mozilla, we have this initiative called Mozilla VR. Okay, so virtual reality for the open web. So what we are aiming is to give developers tools to create VR content. And how are we going to do that? One, we launched several months ago what we call as A-Frame. So what is A-Frame? Anyone here who had heard about A-Frame? Okay. So A-Frame allows one to create virtual reality experiences for the browser using HTML. So if you know how to develop websites, it will be easier for you to develop VR content based on existing HTML technology. So it is Mozilla supported framework, which is powerful. Of course, it is open source and easy to learn. The learning curve is very minimal. Why? It is HTML based. With A-Frame, you can build VR scenes that work across different platforms, be it smartphone, desktop, the Oculus Rift, and even a room scale HTC Vive. A-Frame can be developed using plain HTML file without having to install anything. So a great way to try out A-Frame is you go to the A-Frame website. We have pre-built examples there that you can easily remix and hack upon. You don't need any particular software to edit on A-Frame samples. Okay? So as an alternative, you may create any HTML file and include the A-Frame tag onto the head. So it goes something like this. So I have an HTML page. Okay? So it's a regular HTML. I'll have to insert the script for A-Frame. It's a framework. Okay? And then I included there A-scene tag. So what will I have inside those tags? These are the tags used by A-Frame to create your VR components inside the web page. So it can be something similar to this. Still HTML comprehensible. Okay? Now, what will it look like? I will have to switch to my browser. Okay? So now I have something like this. This is a VR scene. This is in 3D. Sorry. Which I can play around using my browser. If you have a VR headset, this can also work. And this is the product of our code. So everything that you see runs on the browser, and it's actually HTML. So let's say for the sphere, you can easily change its color to something like this. Or even for the plane, we can change the color to black. That easy. So the learning curve on how to use A-Frame is very much minimal because it is based on HTML. So that is one example of how we intend to bring VR to the open web. Okay. So what are the features of A-Frame? One, okay, we want to make VR simpler. Okay, all you need to do is insert the script tag containing a link to the A-Frame framework. Okay, and it will handle 3D boilerplate, VR setup, and default controls that you may have. Nothing to install, no build steps, totally HTML based. It's cross-platform VR. So A-Frame is powerful. Build VR applications for Vive, Rift, Windows Mixed Reality, Daydream, Gear VR, and even for Google Cardboard with support for all respective controllers. You don't have a headset or a controller, no problem. So it will work on regular desktop just like what I've shown you earlier. And for most smartphones, provided that the browser in that smartphone supports WebGL and WebVR. The entity component architecture of A-Frame is powerful based on 3.js framework. Okay, so developers have unlimited access to JavaScript, DOM APIs, 3.js, WebVR, and WebGL. As for performance, it's optimized from the ground up for WebVR, that technology. So A-Frame uses the DOM, but its elements don't touch the browser layout engine. That's why it's still fast. 3D objects update are all done in the memory with little overhead under a single request animation frame call. It's tool agnostic. It's totally up to you on which tools you be using to develop A-Frame sites. If you are familiar with this technologies and frameworks, it can work side by side A-Frame. So for example, can go to this website, aframe.io/examples, to see the different examples that we have there. You can remix, you can copy and paste the codes for you to play and learn A-Frame. So this is one example that where A-Frame was used. Okay, so the character rendered in HTML follows the commands whose input are given using the VR controller. Okay, so this example included in the A-Frame website has its code in the over at the website. This is another example. This uses rendered images of an actual museum. Okay, that you can use even if you have a VR headset. For augmented reality, we can use AR.js side by side A-Frame. So how does it work? So AR.js is an efficient augmented reality AR. So if you know Pokemon Go, okay, so it's an AR solution for the open web or on the web. It runs 100% on your web browser, so you don't need to install anything. So no need for a specific device. You don't need a Tango or an iPhone. Any device that supports WebVR will do. It runs on mobile platforms like Android, iOS, and Windows Mobile, if you are still using one. And can use it on your own phone. Nothing to worry about that it will break your phone, okay? So here's an example of how AR.js and A-Frame work side by side. Okay. I'll be providing the link to my slide deck via Twitter. I'll give you my Twitter account later. And I'll be also sharing the slide deck to the organizers of HKOSCon. Okay. So with this code, a few lines of code, I will be able to use something like this. Okay. So I think some of you may already have seen similar applications of AR, especially for some businesses wherein their business cards has AR functionalities. If you have the right decoder, you will be able to see additional content which are basically AR in nature. Okay. A few weeks ago, we launched what we called as Hubs by Mozilla. Anyone have heard about Hubs by Mozilla? So they said people, especially from this part of the world and Asia in general, are social beings. Okay. So what is Hubs by Mozilla? If you go to that site, you will be able to test Hubs by Mozilla. So Hubs is a first experiment which was released as part of Mozilla's social mixed reality efforts. So it showcases the potential for the web to become the best, most accessible platform to bring people together around the world in a new medium. And that medium is virtual reality. It allows people to easily create web-based rooms to meet with others within mixed reality. So to create a room, all you need to do is go to the Hubs by Mozilla website, single click, and then you can share that link with anyone. Whoever has that link will be able to join your mixed reality room. So you can chat with other people. So that is Hubs by Mozilla. Okay. Now, what is the future of the open web? So I've been talking about Mozilla, Firefox, A-Frame, WebVR, Hubs by Mozilla. So some might think that it will only work with Firefox. No, we want everything to work on any technology available on the web. Okay, so let me borrow this photo from one of our colleagues. Okay, so it will work with the latest versions of our favorite browsers. Firefox, of course, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, not IE. Okay, so this is what we see: interoperability standards on the web. Okay, that is how we want it to work. In order for that to work, we need you. Okay, we need volunteers, we need technologies, we need developers, we need localizers. We will not be able to deliver anything based on our mission without the help of people like you. In Hong Kong, I know that there is a Mozilla community here led by Sammy. Okay, so feel free to approach him after my talk and ask, how can you be part of Mozilla? If you want to learn more things about this, join the local Mozilla community. In your locale, if you're not from here, I am sure there is a local Mozilla community. Otherwise, you can reach out to me and I will be able to point you to one. If there's none in your place, we can help you build your own community there. Okay? So more information about Mozilla VR can be found at mixedreality.mozilla.org. Okay, so remember, it's mixed reality. It's not just VR. We also have AR. Okay, so this is the right time for you to ask questions. If I'm not able to answer them directly, I will point you to the best person who can help you with. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for the introduction. So far, is there any specific application for composing the VR shapes through the graphic user interface on Windows or Android or macOS, iOS, etc.?
I'm not sure if I got your question correctly. So is there a particular software or platform that you can use
Yeah.
to render? You can use any. If you wish to use just a plain text editor, since it is HTML based, it's perfectly fine. If you want to use IDEs to develop websites, it will also be fine. Okay, so the answer there is there is no specific software or development software that you can use to have A-Frame or a WebVR to work on your existing project. So whichever suits you, whichever you like to use, that's perfectly fine.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your introduction. And may I know, when we are constructing some 3D application, we usually have a lot of 3D model software created by other common editor software. So, which format will A-Frame will support these such existing files currently?
Okay, so currently, when you render things on different softwares, on different platforms, they have their own formats, right? Okay, so I know for a fact that some of them are starting to work on on a feature capability wherein you should be able to export them as WebGL rendered files. For as long as they can be understood by WebGL based browsers, it should work.
Thank you.
Best thing is that if you can export those files as HTML, better. Anyone else? Okay, so if you have questions after my talk, so this is my email address, okay? And Twitter, my name is Bob Reyes, okay? So feel free to shoot me anything from there. I'll be sharing my slide deck to the organizers, and later on I'll be uploading it to my SlideShare account. With that, thank you very much and good afternoon to everyone.
Okay, thank you, Bob.